back in 21, I spent 7 months running to be the next mayor of London. And it was so important to me. And I thought the issues were so important. I remember the day of the election, I was out campaigning in our big battle bus. And I stopped this woman on the street and I gave her the whole pitch. And she's like, okay, I'm just going to vote right now. I'm going to vote for you. And I realized that for 364 days of that year, she did not care who the mayor was. And she was one of the few people, probably 1 in 3, that was actually going to vote that day. And she just woke up and decided she would go vote. And she had 10 other problems that were more important and didn't care about my issues and really wasn't thinking about it. And so, yeah, in that sense, I guess you're probably right, is that most people, it's just not something that's in their pattern interrupt. They're worried about their kids and their bills and all the other things.
It's a huge problem in Western society, right? One of our greatest strengths is individualism. One of our greatest weaknesses is individualism. And so if you look at, there's this great study that's been done as to how many people die alone in Western society. An enormous amount compared to the rest of the world, right? If you go to India or many other countries around the world, what you find is that somebody gets old, they then are taken in by their family, usually their kids or their grandkids, they're taken care of, and they die within the family. The death experience in America is you die in a hospital, and hopefully you're lucky if you got 1 or 2 family members there. So the individualism leads to the kids want to be out on their own. They don't want their parents to move in with them. The individualism leads to the parent or the grandparent not wanting to have to be a burden to their kid. And so it's this very interesting dynamic around how much America specifically has been prosperous and productive and had all this economic growth because of the individualism, the belief in capitalism, the belief in entrepreneurship. But it also doesn't degrade the human experience. And so if you go and you look at politics, the great politicians tried to create collectivism. They try to bring people together. They want us all to sacrifice to some degree for the greater good. How do we together govern? How do we together live? How do we create a better future for our children? American ideals are not that, right? We get moments of it. After September 11th, patriotism is very high. People want to come together. They want to sacrifice for their neighbor. Times of war, same thing. But to that woman that you met in London on the day of voting, she's probably literally just thinking about, how do I go out and create a better life for me and my family today? I don't give a shit who is the politician. I don't care who is, making any of these decisions. And so that's a challenge for politicians. Forget what your policies are. How do you convince people to care who the actual person getting elected is? And so I think that's where you see in America right now, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris trying to figure out, how do we just get people to go out to the voting? How do we get them to go to the ballot box? Because we know if we can get people to turn out and vote, that it will change the election results. And I think Democrats historically have been very big proponents of getting out the vote because they know that they disproportionately benefit when that happens. But I'll tell you this, I just tweeted a clip of the Teamsters president, the union president. Historically, they have supported the Democratic candidate. They this year, I believe it's the first time in history, have decided not to endorse either candidate, which came from they polled their union members and over 60% of them supported Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris. And so what he was talking about was he was saying the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the working people. Democratic Party is supposed to be promising, A, B, and C things for me, my union members, people like us. What have they done for us recently? And I took this clip, and what was so fascinating to me, forget for a second, Republican, Democrat, what your politics are, all that stuff. If you study history, political parties evolve. They believe different things at different points in history. They support different groups of people. They look at what do we actually have as our makeup of the political party? What are the issues of the day? Where do we stand? How do we want to govern? Who the candidates are? And they evolve. I believe right now, both in the United States and globally, we're going through a moment of transition where what it means to be on the left or on the right is changing. Again, I said that both politicians are populist candidates. You would never think that the Republican Party was taking a populist approach and potentially could garner more than 60% of the Teamsters support. But that is where the country is. And so both political parties are trying to figure out, okay, if the ground shifts underneath us, where do we stand? Who do we support? What are our policies? And maybe a glimmer of hope moving forward is that both candidates are getting pulled more towards the center. Kamala Harris was a very left-leaning senator, believed, I think was the number one most left politician. Donald Trump had many views that people would put as, kind of on the right in terms of women's reproductive rights, et cetera. He softened those. He now says, I don't support a national ban. I want to push this down to the states. I support IVF. Kamala Harris supporting a southern border wall, right? Not rolling back the tariffs on China, becoming much more centrist in some of her views. So if both candidates are getting pulled to the center, maybe the shifting of the ground is actually that people are saying, I just don't like extremism in any form. I actually want somebody who understands the plight of the people and is willing to just have common sense governance. The debate is, what is common sense? And, you're a better man than me for running for London mayor and trying to figure out, hey, how do I go and communicate what common sense is? But I think that's really where, kind of global politics is right now, is that as that ground shifts, the people who win, the people who garner attention are going to be the people who say, this is what I believe, this is who I want to serve, these are my policies, and they're going to be able to get enough people to rally around that to ultimately get them elected.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.